Hi, and welcome to Whose Race Are You Running? My name is Sia, and I'm here to talk about you. We need to examine hurt very, very strongly because hurt is what drives our action in life. Our feelings, our sensations, and the whole business of self is driven from here. Okay, I had this push-pull going on with Rohan for a long time, and then eventually he gave into my feelings. We had this amazing honeymoon phase, and now we are, let's say, into a relationship. We're comfortable with each other. We are happy to be around each other. Now what has happened is I have formed an impression of Rohan. Now Rohan doesn't need to come in front of me for me to know Rohan. Cut from 6 months to 6 years. And that relationship's not so great anymore. Why? The way he used to be with me at that time, he's not like that with me anymore. How much he used to want me at that time is not the way he is with me anymore. But that is based on what? It's based on this image, this idea that you formed of Rohan early on. Now let's look a little bit at what's going on with this image forming thing that goes on within us. Memory and the structure of memory that caused your reactions of attraction to begin with. That structure of memory we need to understand a little bit. Okay? Because think about it this way. Everything that you want and want desperately, strongly, longingly, with power has to be something that you do not have. Otherwise, why would you want it? Let's look at this with an example. If you want love in your life in that strong, intense way, okay, and I mean it like, I don't think this is a very out of the world experience. I think most people feel it. You feel that longing to have someone in life to take care of so that you're taken care of and that kind of thing. Again, go beyond the word and try and see if you can get back to the sensation of what you feel when you feel those things, right? There's a very strong sensation in the chest, in the pit of the stomach, that it's like a pull, the sensation where you feel like, oh, there should be somebody who's there, who I can share this experience with, who, is there to take care of me. I'm there to take care of them. Those sensations that bring about these thoughts, they are embedded in memory. Now, what must be those memories for you to want something from the outside? We're going to draw a parallel here that makes this easier to understand. Hunger is a sensation I believe everybody can relate to. You felt hungry, you wanted food. When you feel that sensation of hunger, it's a pull towards food. You want to get that food towards you, inside you, right? Go beyond the word hunger and think about that pitfall in your stomach that you feel, or maybe next time you're hungry, try and experiment a little bit if you're curious. If you don't say any words and let the sensations take hold, it's a very specific sensation that tells you that you want food to go into your system. Whenever there is the sensation of pull that, translates into words as you want this or you need this, it must mean that you don't have it. Therefore, you want it. Does that make sense? Okay. So when you have this longing for love and another person in your life, it means there is a feeling, or there is a memory, or there is a strong hold of incompleteness for you to want it from outside. If you already have it, if you already feel whole, complete, pretty much everything without, ever feeling a longing, you will never want it in that desperate kind of way. Again, don't judge the word desperate. We don't like to say these things because of social context, but this is internal experimentation, so don't judge. Okay? Desperate is not a bad word. If it's there, it's there. Whether you want to call it good, bad, it doesn't really matter. If the feeling is there, it's there. So If you feel need in that strong sense for love for another human, it must mean that there is hurt. Because what wants to be caressed? What wants to be taken care of? Your body that you're taking care of. You're eating, you're hopefully doing whatever little bit of workout or exercise that you kind of can. Whenever possible, you're giving it some salad. You're taking as good care of it as you possibly can. Then what else is creating the craving? That is hurt. Again, the problem is the moment we feel those kind of sensations, we divert, jump to action. We want to do something about it. Netflix, cake, run, workout, holiday, trek, something, anything. To not feel like that, to not feel lonely, go meet friends, call friends, something, anything. Go back home, spend time with family. But just because you have done those, now I am calling them activities. Activities that you do to keep your sensations in check or to keep your feelings and emotions in check is not taking away the feeling or the sensation. The moment then that activity drops down, it'll be back because it's there. The problem with all of us is that we don't want to let the hurt, the feeling and the sensation of hurt, the memory of hurt come about and consume us. We do everything in our power to stay away from feeling that. And it's really sad because I have seen people live their entire lifetimes with this. So you begin conscious life there and you even end it with that and you never go above it. Whether you want it or not, it's there. Whether you tell it anything else, left, right, center, escape, etc., whether you go become a monk or you, I don't know, change countries, go somewhere else, give yourself a different life. Just because you don't want to deal with hurt and pain, we've just given it a lot of words. But at the end of the day, if you keep the words aside and go back to the real thing, it's the same. Psychological pain, mental pain, the feeling of hurt, the feeling of longing, the feeling of wanting, the sensations related to that, they are not different for different things. It's the same thing. It's one mechanism at work continuously changing objects. Ambition is not different from the want of love. Ambition is the same longing to get there, to do that, to achieve that, to work hard. It's the same longing. It's just the context is different. Every time it's our social context that's different. To get that relationship, to get that girl, to get that guy, to have a good relation with your parents, the underlying sensation is the same. And that is what is hurt. Now let's examine hurt as well as we possibly can, in as much words will allow us to. Okay. First of all, what is it that you experience when you call or when you tell the line, that hurt or I'm hurt? Let's examine it from the way we know it. Okay. You worked very hard for a particular job or a project or something, and you did really well. Okay. You go and meet your father to tell him that news, expecting that he will be, really happy for you because you did this amazing thing. He turns around and tells you, what's the big deal in that? I've done that all my life. You're useless anyway. Some or the other situation close and easily relatable to that you must have experienced in your life. Okay. Now what happened? You got hurt. Isn't that what we call hurt? The sensations and the feeling you feel when you went with all that excitement because of the achievement you had, which you thought is going to make your dad proud of you, instead got received with, let's say, dejection and or nonchalantness of your dad, or with like, yeah, okay, dismissiveness from your father. What then went through you, the sensations, the thoughts that kind of came about, the feelings that you felt at that point of time, mix of all of that is what you call hurt, right? There's a tightness in your chest, there's a tightness in your muscles. That sensation mixed with the thoughts that are going on in your head is what we call hurt, isn't it? Let me throw in something here. There is no hurt for this incident and hurt for that incident and hurt for that older incident where, maybe you flung fifth grade or sixth grade and was terribly embarrassed. It's not like that. Hurt is hurt. Again, it's one entire body on itself, and it just keeps changing objects. Whether it is as bad as loss of a person very close to you, or it is as mild as, I don't know, the auto guy telling you that he's not going to take you to the place you really need to get to at that point of time. The sensation is only different in intensity because of the memory and the fondness and the closeness or the need or the context of that situation. But the actual thing that is going on is exactly the same. And just like everything else, it's exactly the same for every human. It's not different for Frank, who's sitting in front of me, or Mamta, or my two other colleagues sitting over here, or me. It's exactly the same. Now let's examine what brings about hurt in the way we know it. Now, we're not going back into childhood and trauma, and that is a way. It is also very, very helpful, but we are not going to go into that. We are going to examine it in the present context of whatever is going on in our lives. All right? Because actually, it's a slight detour, but let's take it because it's important. Analysis of content. By content, I mean the situation or the thoughts that are going about that are bringing sensations in, and or vice versa, sensations that are bringing about thoughts. Analysis of the content of thought is like, it's a pointless process. It's a black hole. It will kind of lead you nowhere. Let's take an example. Why, when I went to my dad with, my 99% mark sheet on English literature, did he just shrug and say, yeah, so what, get 99 in maths and show me and then we'll talk? That feels terribly bad, right, to anybody. Let's say I'm a person that is more literature aligned and not mathematics aligned, and my father, like most fathers in India, wants me to become a science person or wants me to take up science in my further education, and I want to take up arts. Very irrelevant example for today's parents, but still, let's just use imagination for a bit. So I did not get 99% in maths. I'm not good in maths. I don't have any affinity towards maths. I got 80% or whatever, 75% in math, but I got 99 on literature, and that lit me up. And I was very happy. And I said, okay, I may not have been able to do the thing that my dad wanted me to do in my maths paper, but he's going to be so happy when he sees that I'm doing so great in the area that I wanted to. That's my conclusion. Was my father thinking like that? Don't know. Never asked. But I wanted that thinking that I was thinking to be my father's. And it didn't happen that way. But when he told me or dismissed that my achievement simply by saying, what's the big deal, get 99 in maths and then we'll talk, it affected me way beyond simply being told that, it doesn't matter. It affected me to like, what is it? Like, am I going to be good enough ever for him? I have gone back there, right? Now, first question over there, why do I need the approval of my father so much? Okay. Second question over there, because no matter how logically you think about it, even today, today I'm no longer in school and I'm no longer in college and I'm working and I'm earning and I don't depend on my dad other than emotionally in any other way. Yet today, every time I have an achievement, I want to tell my parents about it. I want them to be happy for me about it. So it doesn't stop. Why do I need that approval constantly all through life is a question to ask. But if you try to analyze that, okay, maybe I need it because I am attached to my dad, or maybe because, I don't know, some childhood trauma, or maybe because I did not get his affection enough when I was a kid, and that is something that I have carried forward. If you keep analyzing the content, you will have no end to it. It will keep going. It's a vicious cycle. And if you're deeply ingrained in it emotionally, then it will keep throwing you in a flux here and there. He does not like me. He will never like me. I will never be of that level. What is so great about him? It'll push you into anger. It'll push you back into rejection. It'll push you out into dismissiveness. And you'll keep going in that cycle if you keep trying to analyze the content. So if it is possible for you, try and see if you can analyze the mechanism. Okay. Now, why is there hurt to begin with? Examine the mechanism of it. Why is there that sensation, that pain there? Okay. Let's look at it. To understand that, we need to go one step further back and say, first of all, what is being hurt? What within all the things that we know is being hurt? Now, this is where things will get a little bit tricky, because try go backward from this sentence. What is hurt is memory. Your memory of whatever it is that you experienced in life that made you feel deficit, less than, smaller than, helpless. Whether it is from childhood or today, the mechanism will stay the same. There is no past hurt and present hurt. Hurt comes about whenever you get reactions that are opposing to the ones that you expected in emotional situations. In therapy, in almost any therapy, everybody tries and goes back to the first time you felt rejected, usually in childhood. Something like when, your parents left you at your aunt's house and went away for a day. And you cried and you cried and your mother did not come back or your father did not come back. From there begins the process of feeling like everything in the world is not going to go your way. Could be. I'm not a therapist. I'm not a psychologist. I don't know. But examine it today. If you think of incidents like that in your childhood at this moment, and they bring about the same sensations of hurt, then there is something to look at. What are those things? You're thinking about them, right? Which means you're doing what? You're activating memory. When memory is getting activated, those feelings are coming back again. So what is getting hurt? It's memory, isn't it? Is there anything else? Is your soul getting hurt? Have you touched upon the soul that is getting hurt? Come back to the same situation when we spoke about attraction being a reaction, right? a reaction to all the things that you accumulated in the past that were inspiring, or, things that looked really good to you, things that you did not have, which the other person is now displaying. When that person agrees to be in a relationship with you, what happens? Those deficit memories get met with outside forces that are now interacting with it and feels fulfilled. So what nullifies the deficit? It's that outside characteristic that has now come into your experience that is sort of softening the deficit of your memory. What happens when you go to your father and you tell him that, hey, I got 99% in English, I got 75 in English, in math. I know you wanted me to get 99 in math, but then this is what happened. And your father says, I'm so proud of you. What happens then? Who feels relieved? The memory and the conclusion that you're holding that he's going to get angry at you. That is what feels fulfilled, right? That is what does not get agitated then. So this intertwined structure of memory mixed with thoughts, mixed with sensations of the body, which is all going on in the body, by the way, is what gets hurt, gets agitated, pushes you to action, pushes you out of action, holds you back, pushes you forward. It is that structure. That is the structure that we call self, that you call I, me, that you give a name to, Sia, Frank, Mamta. It's that structure. There is nothing else beyond that, as of right now, the way we know things right now. Now, if this structure is to get poked, what happens? Reaction. Reaction that happens like this, that you have absolutely no control over. So the reaction comes anyway, the sensation comes anyway. So for example, your dad dismissed you, you got angry already. You didn't need to do anything about it, right? That anger is again another sensation. If you hold back the words, you'll feel like a surge that is happening somewhere within the chest, going all the way to your brain. Okay, and which is pushing you forward into action, saying, okay, walk out of there, or tell him something, or don't tell him something, or hold back, or all of that. Those are all reactions. What are those reactions? Those reactions are your self-defense mechanisms. If it did not affect you, if whatever your dad told you did not affect you, you would be calm over there, without any reaction coming about, and you would be able to respond consciously without feeling anything emotionally deficient about that answer of his or that reaction of his. You'd be there and you'd say, okay, your dad said, not good enough, try harder next time. Dad, come on, yeah, I'm happy, I got 99, let's go celebrate. Maybe. Or you'll say, oh, okay, it doesn't matter what you think, I'll go. But you will not feel bad about it. You will not feel a sensation about it. So understand that the pain that you're trying to avoid of hurt is the pain that is driving your life if you do not, allow it to come forward. Now, let's examine why are we so scared to allow it to come forward? Because it's happening anyway. Now, that has a lot to do with context. Okay? And I know we're talking about, because I have done this and I have gone through the whole of this, and it's taken a lot of time and it's taken a lot of understanding, but I was very curious about it because I refuse to compromise my way through life. I refuse to compromise my way through situations, relationships, work, projects, passion, anything. I refuse, because I've lived 30 years of my life being told that this is how life is. And it was not okay. It was not enough. I'm going to live once. I don't know anything about past life and or future life and or what's going to happen after death or what I was or wasn't before birth. But if I have whatever, 50, 60, 70 years or even 40 years, I don't want to have this entire experience of life as just settling constantly and or compromise in everything. So all I did is look, and it was tough. It's not simple. We are too intertwined with social narratives, our familial narratives, culture, and there's a whole bunch of conditioning beyond it. But if you're actually curious, it is so close to you and it is so close to home that it sometimes, if you're perceptive enough and if you allow yourself enough, it'll take you a minute, a second, an hour to really just get it. But okay, coming back, memory is what got agitated in that situation. Memory is what drove your action and your reaction. And same other memory that is there, because you have a whole complex set of memory, is telling you to avoid that pain, which is why you're acting the way you're acting. Okay. But what if you were to consider that, okay, I am feeling hurt. I'm just going to let it be. Do you think you're going to die physically? You're going to feel sensations. You're already feeling them. It's going to come about. It's going to come and hit you. It's going to consume you. And then what? Like every other sensation, it's going to go away. So, what is making us so scared of feeling pain? Because it's not physical pain. Your leg is not hurting and your muscles are not hurting and your heart is not hurting if you physically examine it. It's a mental thing that's feeling like hurt, that you don't want to touch, that you don't want to look at, that you don't want to allow. The amount of effort and conflict that is going on to avoid that is triple-fold, 100-fold actually, for different people in different situations and contexts, versus what is actually going on. Now, this pain, this hurt, breeds everything else that's going on. Now, seriously, don't think you're isolated in this. Everybody is operating the same way as you are and I am. Every single person. If they are reactive, if they are, not dealing with life situations constantly well, if they are having their turfs and ups and downs and all of that is coming from within them, they're dealing with exactly the same thing you are. You've not been specially picked to be hurt. It's all of humanity is like that. Obviously, exceptions must always be there, but I'm talking about the general experience of life. If it comes about, as and when it comes about, if you allow it, just try it for once. See if it does anything different for you, because you've tried everything else anyway. How long are you going to keep avoiding it? The moment, at some point, if you allow it, you will realize that it is memory that is hurt, and suddenly the whole brain just opens. Because somehow then suddenly you realize that, one sec, this is just the past that is constantly being received in present situations. The past is getting hurt. The past is receiving the information with that intensity, with that reaction that is coming about as sensations. And all of a sudden, you will receive that same situation where you go back to your dad and you tell him this great news and he dismisses you still, but you don't feel bad about it at all. Rather, you're again able to receive that information without an image of your father that you have formed. It's complicated. It's not that simple. There is cultural context. Father should be this way. Okay, we have received that from across the world. Why is my father different? Right? Fathers are supposed to be supportive and protective, and there's a whole baggage of conditioning. Okay. If he got me into this world, then at least he should give me this sense of entitlement. This entire thing that you have formed about first fathers in general, then specific information related to your father. My father is a little bit more cussed on things. He's traditional, he's etc., he's that, he's this. All of this unconsciously is sitting as the iceberg of memory, which is walking with you as you walk into the room to meet him. And everything that he is throwing at you, every conversation, every line is first being received by the image. That image is memory. That memory is throwing back its own darts as reactions. And within that, the situation gets over. If you allow it to go beyond the image, so the sensations have come up, now you have thrown back a reaction. No, okay, sensations have come up, reactions are coming up. I'm just going to watch myself. Let my father be, let him do whatever he's doing. In that moment, in that situation, I'm just going to let it come about and let's see what happens this time. Because you've done everything else. Let it come about, give it that moment, it itself will go away, and then you will respond. Then the image will not respond. Then your current situation will respond. This pain, this hurt that we avoid so much, that is, kind of the driver of your life, or the way we experience life in the way we know it at this point of time. This is going to be very weird to hear, but our common experience is that I am here somewhere, okay, and that hurt is here somewhere, or that pain is here somewhere. It's not the case. I am that hurt. I am that pain. I am that feeling. They're not two different things. There is no separate you or me that is feeling that hurt or that is feeling that pain. That hurt is me. Full stop. Therefore, any activity, any action, whether it is avoiding it or it is caressing it or it is giving it some kind of comfort that you're doing with your thoughts and your language to what you feel is separately the pain, the separate pain and the you separate. The separate you is doing things to take care of that hurt or to avoid that hurt or to look away from that hurt or to address that hurt. That entire action and all the energy that goes in those actions are futile. Completely. Because you and the hurt are not two different things. It's the same thing. You and the things that you are feeling are not two separate things. There is no you sitting in a jar here, watching your feelings and thoughts and your sensations and your pain and your hurt and your love. You are that. If you can go beyond the words on this and you can actually allow yourself to feel the things that you are and you experientially in your bone see that it's the same thing, first thing that will happen is you will stop acting for or against your sensations and feelings. That is the beginning of healing. This structure of memory, the reactions of memory, the sensations that memory brings about, the thoughts that memory brings about, this entire mechanism is one. And that mechanism is you, is me. We've just arrived at a state of mind today in the way we experience it, where all these things are fragmented. But it's not like that. When you sit back and you see that you are that pain, you will stop acting on it. Because what can act? The pain cannot undo the pain, right? It's like this. If you're in a confused state of mind, okay, you have, okay, let's take a very external, simple example. You want to buy a car, okay, you have whatever, some 5 lakh rupees that you want to spend on it. You have 4 options, 5 options in that category, and you have multiple colors of that. 8 of those things are looking very enticing to you. You compare all your specifications, all your pros and cons, all of that, of all these 7 things, and you narrow down to 4. But now you're intensely confused about the 4 and you don't know which of the 4 to pick up, right? Now your mind is in a state of confusion. Confusion cannot undo itself. What do? You go outside. You ask for other people's advice on who has those vehicles, who may, be somebody who's very interested in cars and or is somebody who, gives you a lot of car advice. And you go to those people and you take inputs from them. Your own state of mind, which is in complete confusion about the car to pick up, cannot undo itself. And anything confusion does is only more confusion, right? It's just like that. You are that hurt. So what you are scared of allowing up and about is yourself. It's a little hard to gather if you don't really pay attention experientially to what's going on within you. But when you think about yourself, right, you have memories of when you were 3-year-old and when you were 6-year-old and when you were 8-year-old. And then you have memories of when you were hurt when you were 3-year-old and 6-year-old, 8-year-old, 15-year-old, whatever. And then you have memories of good times when you were 3-year-old, 6-year-old, 8-year-old, 15-year-old. But when you're thinking about it, it feels like, okay, work with me a little. It feels like I am here looking back at the past. I am here who's looking back in my head, and there's the 3-year-old, the 6-year-old, the 8-year-old, the whole timeline that is kind of following through. It feels like that, but it's not like that. There is no you separate from the 3-year-old, the 6-year-old, the 8-year-old. It's all one matrix of memory. The reason those memories are imprinted is because at that time, in that context, you received the environment, the information, the situation in a certain way that had an emotional impact. It's that emotional impact that has been stored in your body-brain system. There is no separate you. The implications of you being separate from your memory, there is no correctness in that entire process of division. The entire content of everything that you're conscious of and unconscious of is you. Everything that you are avoiding, escaping, fighting, conflicting, allowing, addressing is all you. You start to notice this and feel this when outside forces start hitting that. For example, the reaction of your father and or your boyfriend and or your girlfriend to whatever you had to say. That's an outside activity that has come and hit the matrix called you. And whatever is relevant to that particular situation or that particular expression that happened is what pops up and gives a response. So that pain that you experience when you receive a stimuli and you are not two different things. You're one thing. If you completely absorb this, if you can see the fact in this, you will stop moving away from it. Because how can you move away from what is you? Now what happens? If you arrive at that, then what happens? First of all, the conflict between you and you goes away. Once you don't have that conflict internally, you can address the situation outside peacefully without a reaction. If you can now go back to the Rohan conversation where we were talking about me sitting with my image of Rohan and Rohan sitting with his image, it was the same thing. Me sitting with my image of father, my image, the image constantly throwing back as to what happened to my father, the entire past consistently playing out, where I never received the facts. I always received the facts in a distorted way through the conclusions I made of him for no rhyme or reason. If my past, if my memories, if my old memories and the imprints of those memories are going to guide my entire life, I am never going to receive a situation for what it is. That is every single relationship of ours. And because the whole thing begins with pain and hurt, the way we experience what we call love in relationships is actually an outcome or a reaction of that pain and hurt. Traditionally in literature, this is what is duality and non-duality. When your entire mental process begins from deficit, which is hurt and or pain, every outcome of that creates a duality. In the sense, I am separate from the pain is duality. But I am not separate from the pain. I am the pain that I am feeling. I am the thoughts that I am having. I am the sensations that the body is throwing up. That is me. Then activity comes to a full stop. Activity of reaction comes to a full stop. Activity of past comes to a full stop. When pain is not, when hurt is not, what is left is love.